Hi guys, today we're going to do lesson 22.3 and 22.4, which are talking about properties of logarithms. To condense the notes a little bit, I did make a note sheet for you guys, lesson 22.3 and 22.4 note sheet. It's posted on Google Classroom with this ed puzzle. And you'll also want a pen or a pencil. And the learning targets for today are to write and apply using the product, quotient, and power properties of logarithms. So those are the three properties we're going to be talking about. And we are going to use those properties to condense and expand log expressions. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we have to review some properties of exponents that you guys should have seen in a prior math class. So for example, if you had like an x squared times an x cubed, what would you do with those exponents? Well, when you are multiplying, you actually add those exponents. So that would become x to the fifth, okay? So, whoops. So what we want to say here is that you add, so this would be m plus n. Okay, so you would add m plus n in that example. All right, so maybe jot yourself a little note that when you're multiplying, you're going to add those exponents. When it is division, you are going to subtract. Okay, so then that would look like x and then m minus n. And now here, this one's a little bit different. This one is x to the m, and then on the outside to the n. So that's like a power. And so that would be m times n. So that one you actually do multiply. Okay. So that's important to know because that's going to help us with our logarithmic properties. Okay, because the same properties apply to logarithms. This is kind of just the opposite way of thinking. So now it says log of m plus log of n. And just like, so this one's adding and multiplying one together. So that's going to be the same thing here. And so we would write this as log of m times n. Okay. And then same thing, just like here, division and subtraction one together. Well, now this says log of m minus log of n, and that's going to be division. So we would do m divided by n. So these are your first two properties, and I would make sure you have these written down somewhere. And then we're going to go ahead and do some examples. So the main thing that we use these for are to expand and condense logarithms. So if we look up here, this is your expanded version. Because it's written as 2 logs. And this is your condensed version because it's written as 1 log. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here at A. This is log xy. So that is being multiplied there. So if we want to expand this, we are going to write it as 2 separate logs, one for each variable. And multiplication goes with addition. So we would write this as log of x plus log of y. Okay. In part B, this one has division, and we want to expand it, and we know division goes with subtraction. So we would write it as log of y minus log of z. Okay. Now, part C is kind of putting both of those together. So what we need to do now, log xy over z. So we need to write those as 3 separate logs because now there's 3 variables. So I'm going to write that as log of x plus log of y. And what I would do is maybe even put parentheses around this. And then you know, okay, now you're going to subtract the log of z because it's being divided by that. and that would be the expanded version. Okay, so what I want you guys to do here is go ahead and try your own on part D. Hopefully you got log of x plus log of y plus log of z because they are all being multiplied. Okay, so that's how you expand a logarithm using either the product property or the quotient property. Now let's work on condensing. Okay, so now when we condense, you want to write that as one single logarithm. Okay, one single logarithm. So I'm going to go ahead and write this as log. And then it's log of A minus log of B. So now we are going the opposite way. Whoops. And we need to condense it. So subtraction and division go together. So we're going to do A over B. Okay. In a second here, I'm going to have you guys try B, but let's do part C together. Okay, so let's do what's in the parentheses first. And remember, we're condensing it to one single logarithm. So now A plus B, those are going to be multiplied together. So let's write that as AB. And then minus log C, so they are going to be divided by C. Okay, so that's how you condense to one logarithm using our properties. Okay, so this next one, part B, I want you to try on your own. So log of B plus log of C, go ahead and try that now. Okay, hopefully you got log of B times C because addition goes with multiplication. Okay, awesome, let's keep moving. There is one more property that we need to talk about, and that is called the power property. And basically what happens here is whatever the power is, so this is log of m to the n, that power gets pushed out front and we multiply by that. So now this becomes n times log of m. Okay, so if we want to expand, we are just going to move these. So this would be 3 times log of x. And same thing here, we would move this to the front, 2 times log of y. Okay, so go ahead and try that last one. And you should have gotten 7 times log of z. Okay, so again, just moving whatever that exponent is or that power out front. Okay. Then obviously if we want to condense, you just have to do that the opposite. So instead of the 6 out front, we're going to change it to log of y to the 6th. Okay, same thing here. Log of z to the 8th. Okay, so go ahead and try that last one here. And you should get log of x to the 5th. So moving that number out front to be the exponent or the power. Okay, so that is your third property. So now we're going to kind of put all of this together. We've got our product property, which combines multiplication and addition. We've got our quotient property, which combines division and subtraction. And then we've got our power property that takes your power and moves it out front. Okay, so looking at this one, we are expanding. So now we should have a logarithm log written out for each variable. So the first thing I'm going to do is write log of x. And then that is being multiplied by y to the 4th. So I'm going to write another log, but I'm going to add them because of the multiplication. And I'm going to bring that 4 out front. So we would write this as log of x plus 4 times the log of y. Okay, and that is how you would expand it fully. Okay, you guys are going to try B in a second, but let's take a look at C. So we have 3 variables, so we should have 3 logs written out. So I'm going to write that as log of x plus log of y because those two are being multiplied together. And again, I'm going to kind of put parentheses around that. And then minus, and there's a 5 here as an exponent or a power, so I'm going to write that as 5 log z. Okay, so I literally just used all 3 powers in that one. I used my product property for the x and the y. I used my quotient property because it was over z, and then I used my power property because it was z to the 5th. Okay. All right, and then you guys are going to try this next one. Again, you're going to be using multiple properties because it's log of x cubed over z. Go ahead and try it now. All right, and this is what you should have. That 3 needs to be moved out front, and then log of x. And then you just need to subtract because it's over z, so minus log of z. Okay, so that division means subtract. All right. So these ones get a little bit tricky just because you are working with all 3 properties and you are trying to expand the logarithm. Okay. All right, then the last thing we're going to take a look at is now the opposite of this, condensing using all 3 properties. Okay, so again, at the top are all 3 of them, product, quotient, and power property. And we are condensing. So again, that means into one single logarithm. Okay, so I'm going to write log so that I know just 1. Okay, and then this 2 has to go with the x, so that's going to become an x squared. And then there's subtraction and the y. So subtraction means division, so I would write that as over x squared over y. So log of x squared over y. Okay. Then you guys will do b in a second, but let's do c together. So again, I'm just going to write 1 log. X is going to go on the top, I can tell, because then there's subtraction, which means division. And then we have a 3, so that's going to be y cubed. And then we have a plus, so I know I'm going to multiply. And then we have a 7, so I know that's going to be z to the 7th. Okay, so we just combine this so that it's log of x over y cubed z to the 7th. Okay, so you guys go ahead and try that last one here. And hopefully you got log of x to the 4th times z, oh, I can't put a little times there, times z to the 9th. So both of these need to be moved here. And then the plus sign tells you that you're multiplying when you condense. Okay, and again, notice these are all written as one logarithm when you are condensing. Okay, when you are expanding, it's however many. You should be writing log as many times as there are variables. So, whoops, 1, 2, 3 here because there was an x, y, and z. Okay, so these last 2 examples, 5 and 6, were probably the hardest just because we were using all 3 properties. Okay, but that's it for today. Those are the 3 properties we're going to be using from here on out. So if you have any questions, either leave them here or bring them to class tomorrow. All righty, have a good one. Bye-bye.